need everyone to grab your smartphone. We're going to give you a text code so that you can get on our volunteer list. Let me know when you're ready by screaming Bill Burr. Awesome. So for this weekend, I want you all to text the number 82623. 826. Text the word Virginia spelled out or simply VA, and you will get a response message back on how to get involved in the campaign, how to volunteer this weekend. We know that Senator Sanders has inspired us. Norfolk at 547 East Little Creek Road. All right, got an awesome evening. Next week, the Honorable Delegate Michael Trell, CBP Senator.
Y'all feeling dizzy, y'all excited, right?
Yeah.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah.
Welcome to the revolution. As I come up here, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come hang out with you today.
Yeah.
I get some of my best thinking done when I'm driving, right? And I was driving down here and I began to think back on my own young political career. And I thought back to 2013 when I ran for the House of Delegates and I heard everybody say, he can't win. The establishment doesn't want him because they can't control him. We don't know what he's going to do. Nobody of color has ever represented Stafford County. And so that's why I'm so enthused to be a part of this revolution right here. Not only did we sit there and watch as the establishment put hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars in other races and we watched them fall one by one, and the one race that happened to win was the young black kid that represented Prince William County and Stafford County. So it touches me to come here today. It touches me to look around and see all of these people, because just like in my race and I see in this race, we have a group of people out there who understand that it is not about me, it is not about Senator Sanders, it is not about elected.
Dan Trump and Michael for their wonderful introductions. Let me just, begin by picking up right away what Michael was just saying. And I will tell you, no other candidate for president would tell you it is a very important point. Not necessarily a pleasant point, not something that I feel good about telling you, but it's important that we discuss the truth. We got to deal with reality in America before we can go forward. Here's the simple truth. If I were to tell you, hey, elect me president, turn on the TV, relax, don't worry about anything, I will take care of it all. If I told you that, I would be lying to you. That's not the way it works. No president, this is important, no president, not Bernie Sanders, not anyone else, can effectively deal with the crises, the very, very serious problems we face as a nation, unless there is a political revolution in which millions of people understand that democracy is not a football. It's not a spectator sport you watch and somebody else doesn't. People in this community, when you have such a strong military presence, you understand that people have fought and died to defend American democracy. And guess what? You are that democracy, not somebody else. You are. What Michael and Angela were saying is simple but true. The only way to change America is when we understand that it is not acceptable that a handful of wealthy campaign contributors, it is not acceptable that corporate America or Wall Street or the corporate media control what goes on in our country. That means we need to rethink the way we do politics. You are very, very powerful people when you start flexing your muscles. That's what we got to do right now. That means being smart in every way you can, from the local school board to the presidency of the United States of America. Our job is to make sure that elected officials are listening to the pain of the American people. And if they are not responding, they are going to learn what unemployment is about. Our campaign is probably one of the more unique campaigns in modern American history. We have taken on Wall Street and the financial establishment, and let me tell you, they are getting very, very nervous. We're taking on the entire political establishment who just love the status quo, but yet we have people who say, you know what, status quo is not working so good for us. We started this campaign at 3% in the national polls. We've been closing that gap. It was actually a poll that came out last week, national, which had us in the lead. 50 points down in Iowa, 30 points down in New Hampshire. Just a few weeks, a month ago, we were way down in Nevada. All over this country, including Virginia, we are closing that gap. And I will tell you why our campaign is drawing large crowds, is gaining momentum all over this country. And the reason is pretty simple. And that is, number one, you're doing something very radical in American politics. We are telling people the truth. Very rational, in a lot of trouble with helping the church work. Love that. Number two. Number two. We are listening to the American people. The truth is that there is a lot of pain in this country. There is pain if you're black, if you're white, if you're Latino, Asian American, Native American, man. There's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of pain in this country. It's pain that the media is not going to talk about. Apparently, they're worried about political gossip, who's winning, who's losing. But our job is to talk about the pain, to talk about the reality of American life, and to determine how we go forward. We are talking and listening to people who are making $9 or $10 an hour. And what they are telling me is you can't make it on $9 or $10 an hour. But we are talking to senior citizens who are trying to make it on $11,000 to $12,000 an hour. Put yourself in the place of a senior. When you're 84, 90 years of age, you need health care, you need prescription drugs, you need help. You can do the arithmetic, but if you're trying to get by on $11,000 to $12,000, you can't do that. We're listening to those people. We are listening to young people who say, Glenn, I went to college, I wanted to get a good education, I went to graduate school. Now I'm paying off a student debt of $50,000 or $100,000. We are listening to those people, and we do not believe that people should be punished because they wanted a good education. No, we are listening to women. What women are telling me is, Bernie, it is not right that I am making 79 cents on the dollar compared to the man. And that is even wider for women of color. Unacceptable. We are listening very closely about an issue that is an American tragedy. And we are not going to deal with this tragedy. We're not going to push it under the rug. We are listening to the African American community who are telling us, how does it happen that in this country we have more people in jail than any other country on earth? Disproportionately African American and Latino. We are going to change that. Latino community and others, other undocumented people who are saying, Bernie, we are tired of living in fear and living in the shadows. We need comprehensive immigration reform and a passport. So essentially, what our campaign is about is not getting advice from millionaire campaign contributors. Sometimes if you read the papers, literally, the wording is, you read the newspapers, candidate X's campaign donors are very, very worried about this or that. I don't have millionaire campaign donors. To listen to ordinary people. And I at the age of 17, couldn't speak English, no money. So I know a little bit about the immigration experience, and I know about growing up in a 3.5-room apartment in a rent-controlled building in Brooklyn, New York. I studied economics in college, but truthfully, the major economic lesson I learned in my life as a little kid in a family struggling to make ends meet. That is a lesson I will never forget. All of you know, if you know anything about American history, what you know is that change, real change, never comes from the top down. It always comes from the top down. Those are the results of the work done by millions of people in the grassroots level. Yeah. You all know, our country was first of all by very brilliant people who broke away from England. At that point, the only people who could vote were rich white guys. You know that? So the struggle of America from the inception, from the creation of this country, was to broaden democracy, going from wealthy landowners, white landowners, to include all of our people. And my God, what a strenuous, difficult struggle that has been. The struggle for civil rights in this country didn't come from a few people on top. It came from millions of African Americans and their white allies. Segregation and racism and bigotry is not what this country is supposed to be about. And the struggle for workers' rights, it came when workers said, sorry, we're not going to be treated like animals, we're not going to be working 7 days a week, we have rights and we're going to form a union. Came from workers' standing. How easy it is to forget 100 years ago from today where we are, not a long time in history, 100 years ago, women did not have the right to vote. They quickly forget the idea of women becoming doctors or lawyers or scientists. Not 20 years. Women were supposed to stay home and have babies after their job. But women said sorry. Not anymore. Now our struggle to say women will not be second-class citizens in the United States. And it was 10 years, literally 10 years ago, not a long time ago, 10 years ago. Somebody jumped up and said, you know, I think in America, people have the right to love whoever they want to love. I think, 10 years ago, somebody said, you know, I think people, you know, if they are gay, they have a right to be married. And I think that will happen in 50 states in America. Somebody said that 10 years ago. The guy next to him said, what are you smoking? Which raises a whole other issue. This is what revolution is about, in a sense. I go to my own state of Vermont. I love you all to come up to Vermont, a beautiful small state. I go to the conservative parts of my state and I say, what do you guys think about gay marriage? For young people, by and large, it is no longer even an issue. America had changed. So what's my point? Here is my point. My point is a simple point. Change takes place when people outgrow the status quo. When they say, sorry, segregation is not for this country, it's about racism is not for this country, it's about homophobia is not for this country, it's about sexism is not for this country. That always takes place from the bottom up, and sometimes, as we see it, it's always very easy to leave the grave when change takes place. Now, it is not hard to talk about gay rights and civil rights. That's not hard now. 30, 40, 100 years ago, it was then hard. And we honor those people who had the courage to talk about issues that are a moment in American history where we have got to learn from our past history, and we have got to be pushing forward in a way that makes some people very, very uncomfortable. What we have got to be talking about is that we have a government right now that, sadly enough, is not there to represent working families or the middle class, but is beholden to wealthy campaign contributors and the big money interests. And do not kid yourself. When you talk about the struggles for civil rights and the struggles for women's rights, gay rights, and men's rights, this struggle that we are engaged in right now, we are taking on the most powerful people in the world. Do not kid yourself. Wall Street, and I know something about this, Wall Street has endless supplies of money, and I mean endless. Normal human beings say, well, there's a certain amount of money we have. There is no certain amount of money. These guys have endless amounts of money to do what they want to do. They do not have the money. Change in America, understand the role of corporate media, will understand the homes of corporate media, understands the intrinsic conflicts of interest, what will be discussed, what will not be discussed. For example, we have had for 30, 40 years a disastrous set of trade policies in America. Now, trade is not a sexy issue, and a lot of people don't even know what I mean by trade. For the young people, let me just say this. There was a time in this country, 40, 50 years ago, when if you went into a department store, you would buy products manufactured in the United States of America. And the workers who made those products often made a good living, a good benefit. If you are on an assembly line, in Detroit, Michigan, producing an automobile, you know what? You made good wages, you had good benefits, and you had a good union working with you. But what has happened over the last 20 years is we have seen factory after factory shut down in America. Those jobs go to low-wage countries, corporations go all over the world, figuring where they can get the cheapest labor possible. They leave Mexico, where wages are low, because they can find cheaper wages in China. They leave China, because wages are too high to go to Vietnam. They are chasing the lowest wages in the world. And they want to bring their products back into this country. Now, way back in the early 1990s, when I was elected to the Congress of Vermont, I looked at these trade proposals. I understood that American workers should not be forced to compete against desperate people making pennies an hour all over the world. I went to Mexico. I went to a region in Mexico called the Maquiladora region, which is a special tax zone. And I saw the workers there working in these shiny, beautiful American factories. Beautiful factories. And I went to visit their homes. But you know what? They weren't living in homes. They were literally living in cardboard shacks with filthy drinking water, making pennies an hour. So when I said way back in the early 1990s, I said, wait a minute, this NAFTA trade agreement is not going to be fair to American workers and actually not fair to the people of Mexico. And I helped lead the opposition against it. Secretary Clinton was then First Lady, thought that NAFTA was a good idea. I was right, she was wrong. In terms of permanent normal trade relations with China, new trade agreement. No, I did not think it was appropriate for people in our country to be forced to compete against very low-wage workers in China. The result of that trade agreement is that we have lost millions of decent-paying jobs. And when you go shopping, as often as not, what you're buying is a product made in China. So we need, in my view, to tell corporate America that if they want us to purchase their products, you know what? They're going to have to start manufacturing those products in the United States. This is and when you talk about why is it that wages are going down in America? It's not only the loss of jobs, it's what we call a race to the bottom. You know what I mean by race to the bottom? Well, corporate America is saying, why should we pay workers in this country $20 an hour when we can make somebody in China $1 to $2 an hour? Worker, you take a wage decrease in America. You take cuts in your health care benefits in America. You're going to have to be competitive with people in China making pennies an hour. I reject that. I want to see more people around the world do better, but that does not mean we have to destroy the middle class of this country. The big disagreement on NAFTA in China, she supported that agreement, I opposed it. But let me tell you where we are today when we talk about taking on powerful special interests. And what this campaign is about is asking everybody here, everybody in this country to think outside of the box. Don't let the media tell you that's here. Your job is to think about what country, what kind of country you want to live in. Don't let them define what your choices are. Today in America, we have a moral economic crisis. And that is, we have more wealth and income inequality than any other major country on earth. It is worse today in America than at any time since 1928. Our job is to say, why? Why? Did some nuclear attack take place in America? Was there a tornado that went all over America? What happened such that the middle class is shrinking? What's happening? We have 47 million people living in poverty. What's happening that we have massive wealth and income inequality? In America today, listen to this, it's really quite shocking. Top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, 1/10 of 1%, a sliver of our population now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. In America today, the wealth wealthiest 20 people own more wealth than about half of America, 150 million Americans. Now, this is not talked about. We don't talk about it. Their corporate sponsors don't want to talk about it very much. But if I'm elected president, not only are we going to talk about it, we're going to do something about it. You hear a lot of Republicans in Virginia all over this country talking about welfare abuse, poor people cheating the welfare system. You've all heard that? Yeah. Today in America, we set your statements. Today in America, one family, the Walton family of Walmart, you all heard of Walmart? It's one family owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. Got it? Now, it turns out that when we talk about welfare recipients, guess what? The Walton family, the wealthiest family in America, turns out to be the major welfare recipient in our country. Hey! What are you talking about? I will tell you the question, and I'll tell you the answer. Here's the answer. Think about it. This is what a reign economy is about. This is what thinking outside the box is about. This is what Congress media don't want you to think about. They're worried about somebody scraping by with 2 kids cheating on welfare. Okay, here's what you got with the Walton family. They pay wages so low at Walmart that many of their workers are forced to go on Medicaid, food stamps, and subsidized housing. Now, who is paying for those food stamps, Medicaid, and subsidized housing? You won't! Yeah. So, on behalf of the Walton family, the wealthiest family in America, I want to thank you very much for chipping in, for helping them out. They're down to their last $60 billion. And I'll tell you, it's hard to get by these days on $60 billion. So they appreciate all of your tax dollars helping to subsidize their workforce. But I say to the Walton family, the wealthiest family in America, get off of welfare, start paying your workers. We are, hard to believe, this is true, at this particular moment today, we are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But, do you think anybody in America knows that? They don't know that. Why don't they know that? They don't know it because almost all of the wealth and income is going to the top 1%. You are not thinking about this country being the wealthiest country in the world when you're working 2 or 3 jobs trying to bring in enough money to take care of your family. So here's the reality with regard to income. We have millions of people who are working longer hours for lower wages. We have people working 2 or 3 jobs. We got mom working, we got dad working, we got the kids working. We have marriages that are stressed out because people are working so hard. We have kids who do not get the attention they need from mom and dad because mom and dad are working so hard. And all of that hard work, here's something else I want everybody to know. Japanese are very hard-working people. We work longer hours than any people in the industrialized world, including the Japanese. So our people are working incredible hours, and yet it ends up that 58% of all new income generated. And think about it. All the people, everybody here working on 58% of all the income goes to the top 1%. So, are you guys ready for a radical idea? I knew you would be. And that is why we are going to create an economy that works for working families, not just for themselves. And that means that we are going to ask the wealthiest people in this country to start paying their fair share of taxes. That means that we understand that a $7.25 an hour federal minimum wage is a starvation wage. That means that we are going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. And I would hope that every man in this arena this afternoon will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. Let me say something else about the economy. When we talk about unemployment, what you usually see once a month on the front pages of the papers are official unemployment, which is now nationally about 5%. 5%. Anybody here believe that real unemployment in America is 5%? Smart group, you're right. There's another report that you don't see so much that comes out, which looks at people unemployed and people who are looking for work and people who are working part-time when they want to work full-time. Add that number together, it is close to 10%. Okay? That's a lot of people unemployed around the place. And now let me tell you something else, which is an actual tragedy that you never hear about. Zero. Almost no discussion. And that is the tragedy of youth unemployment in this country. I asked some economists to do a study to me a while back, and I said, tell me, kid graduates high school, doesn't drop out. Kids drop out. Kids graduate high school between 17 and 20. What is real unemployment? This is what they said. If the kids are white, 33%. Kids are Latino, 36%. Kids are African American, 51% unemployed. Now, if you think that tragedy, and I want you to think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of a kid, 18, 19, graduating high school, trying to get his feet on the ground, trying to become independent, trying to become an adult, trying to make a few bucks, and do it. Year after year, you can't get a job. Now, if anyone thinks that there's not a correlation between that tragedy and another American tragedy, and that is that we have more people in jail, 2.2 million Americans, than any other country on earth. If you don't see the connection between outrageously high unemployment rates for young people and the number of people in jail who are missing, and point. So are you ready for radical idea number 2? What together we are going to do is invest in jobs and education for our young people, not jails and incarceration. The other thing that we are going to do is when unemployment is so high, we are going to rebuild our crumbling infrastructures, our roads, Now, all of you, I think, are aware of the unspeakable tragedy taking place in Flint, Michigan today with their water system. I talked to Detroit 3 weeks ago, and I talked to some people from Flint. I really want to tell you what they told me because it is so horrific what is happening to the children, that it was literally hard for me to imagine that I was hearing people in the United States of America talking about what's going on in terms of the destruction of that city. But it is not just in Michigan. All over this country, we have major infrastructural problems with water, with transportation, with roads, bridges, etc. We can create 13 million good-paying jobs, putting our people to work, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. And people say, oh, we're going to invest $1 trillion in roads and bridges and water systems. That's a lot of money. Where are you going to get the money? I'll tell you where we're going to get the money. Right now, this is how crazy this rigged economy is. Right now, you have corporations making billions of dollars a year in profit, stashing their money in the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, and other tax havens, and in a given year, after making billions in profit, they pay zero in federal taxes. Well, under my administration, they're going to start paying taxes. Our crumbling infrastructure, and we're going to put our people back to work. Now, in this campaign, I have talked about things that are unpleasant in America, because I believe that we don't go forward unless we deal with them. What I've talked about is a corrupt campaign finance system in which billionaires, literally billionaires, are buying elections. Now, my opponent has a super PAC receiving millions and millions of dollars from Wall Street. Now, that's fine, but I made a decision. I don't want Wall Street money. I don't believe in Wall Street money. That is revolutionizing campaign financing in America. What people have always said, what the media says, what experts say, is look, the only way you can raise money is go begging billionaires for money. It's the only way you can be. I chose not to do that. And this is what we did. Listen to this. This is really unbelievable. I never in a million years would have thought we could have accomplished this. In the last 9.5 months since we've been in this race, we have received over 4 million individual campaign contributions. And working people, middle class people, from people trying to make our Social Security. You know what the average campaign contribution is? It is $27. Wall Street, I'm not indebted to the billionaires. I am indebted to those folks in there. 27. Now, I want to tell you a story, if I might, a brief story, which kind of encompasses much of what I've been talking about in this campaign, about a corrupt campaign finance system, about a rigged economy, and about a broken criminal justice system. Here's the story. About a month ago, Goldman Sachs, all know Goldman Sachs? Obviously you know Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is one of the large financial institutions on Wall Street. Goldman Sachs, about a month ago, reached an agreement with the federal government. They paid $5 billion as part of the settlement package. Why did they pay $5 billion? They paid $5 billion, and by the way, other banks have even paid more. They paid $5 billion because they were selling worthless packages of subprime mortgage loans, which, as all of you know, was one of the causes for the Great Recession that destroyed the lives of millions of Americans. Okay. All right, point number one. All right, this is the point. Short story. Stay with me. All right. Point number one, they paid $5 billion in settlement. Point number two, this is what political power is about. The last 20, 25 years, this fraudulent financial institution has, through the revolving door, taken people from their company, put them under the Secretary of Treasury, two Secretaries of Treasury, one Democratic administration, one Republican, came directly from Goldman Sachs, and a lot of the high-ranking officials in government came directly from Goldman Sachs. You go from Wall Street, the government do the bidding of Wall Street, then you go back to Wall Street. Okay? That's going to revolve the law. Three, Goldman Sachs, along with other Wall Street financial institutions, pours millions of dollars in campaign contributions and speakers' fees into the political process.
Hillary!
So what they are doing is supporting the candidates that they want to support. Point number four. And this is maybe the point that really upsets the American people the most. Today in Virginia, today in Vermont, some kid or adult gets caught with marijuana. That person will have a police record which will stay with him or her for their entire lives, which is no laughing matter. Because you go out looking for a job, and your employer asks you, "Do you have criminal records?" "Oh, yeah, I picked up marijuana." It stays with you your entire life. And by the way, this becomes a racial issue as well. Because it turns out that the study shows the black community and the white community both smoke marijuana at about equal levels. 4 times, I know that's something to cheer for, more likely to get arrested for marijuana than if you are white. That raises a whole other issue, a whole very important issue. I'll get to that in a minute. But right now, here's the story. You get picked up today for marijuana, you got a police record. But if you are an executive on Wall Street whose illegal behavior helped destroy the American economy, created a situation in which millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, and their life savings, you don't get a police record, you get a compensation increase, increasing your salary. That is a broken criminal justice system, and together we are going to restore justice to the criminal justice. Number one, talking about marijuana. Right now, in the Federal Controlled Substance Act, the rules which define drugs and the nature of drugs, it turns out, amazingly enough, pretty crazy, is that marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug alongside of heroin. And there's a lot of studies going on about the pluses and minuses of marijuana, but nobody who is sensible thinks that marijuana equates or is the same as heroin, which all of you know is a killer drug. Now, what's happened when you talk about criminal justice, over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have police records because of possession of marijuana. In my view, that's wrong, and in my view, we should take marijuana out of the federal control. Now, states in our country, we have a federalist system, federalism system. States can legalize or not, that's their jurisdiction. But I don't think the federal government should be about criminalizing possession of marijuana. Look, everybody here knows, and again, this is kind of a we need the best educated workforce in the world, correct? Truth is, 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have the best educated workforce in the world. Truth is, today, we do not. Truth is that today, there are hundreds of thousands of young people, some in Virginia, some in Vermont, all over this country, who have the ability, who have the qualifications to get a college degree, but they're not able to for one reason: their families lack the funds. When we talk about public education, I want you to think about this. 100 years ago, people said public education is very important. It's great. People help make free public schools in America. And what they said is, look, yeah, I'm working class, I'm low income, but I want my kid to be able to get an education, not work in a factory, not work on a farm. That was a huge step forward. But the world has changed. And what a high school degree was worth 50 years ago is pretty much what a college degree is worth today. Okay? If you want to go out and get a job, by and large, there are exceptions, you need higher education. Or you need post-high school training. You want to become an electrician, you want to become a sheet metal worker, whatever it may be. That is why I believe that in the year 2016, when we talk about public education, we have got to be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. Under outrageous student debt. Anybody here with student debt? I want you to think about it. Everybody wants and believes that education is a good thing. We want you to get all of the education that you can get. And yet we are punishing severely millions of people for the crime of getting an education. We're talking about people 30,000 debt, 50, 100, talk we don't know who's about 300,000, dentists, $400,000 in debt. That is crazy stuff. And that is why our legislation will allow people with student debt to refinance their loans at the lowest interest rates that they can find. Environmental Committee in the Senate. And I talk to scientists all over the world. And let me tell you what my Republican colleagues will not tell you. And that is that climate change is real. Climate change is caused by human activity. Climate change is already causing devastating problems in our country and around the world. I don't know if some of you just saw the article that appeared the other day, a study. Sea levels are rising at the fastest rate in thousands of years. If we don't get our act together, coastal communities are going to be underwater. We're looking at more droughts, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean. We're looking at international conflict. Because people around the world are going to be fighting for water, fighting for land to grow their crops. We have a moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and happy for our kids. Thank you, As president, I will take on the fossil fuel industry. Millions of jobs moving away from fossil fuel and energy efficiency and sustainability. Now, throughout this campaign, I have been criticized for thinking so big. Wall Street Journal, a million articles. How are you going to do this and how are you going to do that? Too big, too big, too big. I don't agree. Let me give you one example. One example. They criticize me all that they want. go to the United Kingdom, you go to France, you go to Germany, you go to Holland, you go to Scandinavia, you go to Canada, you go to every major country on earth, and you know what they all say? They say that all of their people, all, A-L-L, all of their people are entitled to health care. Not a country in which we're paying the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, but all of their people are entitled to comprehensive health care rights. So, let me make it crystal clear to my opponents. Opponents, listen to me. Yes, I believe that health care is a right of all people, not a for a middle-class family. Brothers and sisters, what the big money interests believe is that so many of our people are demoralized, so many of our young people, I read these articles and they're all young people, they're not going to get involved in the political process. They're too busy partying and doing whatever. This is what I want to say. I want to say to everybody, you young or old. And this is what I want to say. You don't participate in the political process. You don't stand up for your rights. I guarantee 100% that there are people out there, billionaires and their lobbyists and campaign donors, who pray. They get down on their hands and their knees and they pray that you don't vote Republican. Because they know if you don't get involved, the big money interests will win out all of the time. They are not worried about workers making $10 an hour. They're not worried about women making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. They're not worried about 29 million Americans not having health insurance. They're not worried about African American kids being picked up by the police illegally. They're not worried about Latinos who are living in fear and need a path to citizenship. They're not worried about seniors trying to make $11,000 or $12,000. That is not their worry. They're worried about more tax breaks and billionaires. They're worried about more trade policies that will shut down factories in America and move to China so they can make more money. The only way we take them on is when we do not allow the Trumps of the world to divide us apart. But you play off others, black against white, male against female, gay against straight, people born in this country against people who immigrated to this country. We are not going to fall for that. No. We are not going to allow them to divide us up. We're going to stand together. We are going to create a government that represents us all.